this, we up.
Welcome to the State of Hockey podcast, featuring Justin Jelnick and Joe Hayford. Let's talk hockey.
Welcome to the State of Hockey podcast, a very special edition with me. I'm Justin Jelnick and my co-host Joe Hayford. Joe, how are you?
I am excellent today.
Good. You gotta be excellent because we have a very special guest today.
We do. This
is the second guest in the history of the podcast. You may know her from many other podcasts, including Andy Must Die and Purple for the Win, and also she has done a lot of writing for the Daily Norseman. Please welcome Di Murphy. Di, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
It's wonderful to have you today. So,
thank you.
It's Joe and I, frankly, struggle with things to talk about over the summer, but we have something that both Joe and you and myself are very excited about. As far as new hockey things.
Correct. Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So this spring was announced that a brand new women's hockey league is starting out in the East Coast called the National Women's Hockey League. What a name. So they're starting with 4 teams. They're going to play an 18-game schedule each from October to February. But for my money, this is an idea that's long overdue and needed to be done, and it looks like this finally might be the Women's Hockey League that's done right.
Yeah, it looks like there's some things that they're doing right. I'm extremely excited about it. One thing I do have a problem with, and Di, you can touch on this too, because you're a big Lynx fan and supporter of that team. I don't think that they're maximizing their market share, and like the Lynx did or the WNBA did. I think the off season would have been a better place to start this league, to maximize your viewership, get those people that are missing that main league that they watch all the time and draw that interest. But the NWHL seems to be starting right as the NHL starts. What are your thoughts on that, Di?
I think that's a mistake. I think you're absolutely correct. And I think they're going to have they're going to have a harder time than the WNBA because hockey is even more a niche sport than basketball. But you're right. I mean, the Lynx fill in that time where huge basketball fans are dying or starving for basketball. And, and I think about it like as far as the Vikings. I mean, huge fan. And it's just the number of NFL fans that are just like dying for any sort of, like, we watch the crappy preseason. I mean, we are dying for any bit of football. And so I think you're right. I think it's a huge mistake on their part to do that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely correctable, coming around, especially playing just 18 games per team. I think that if they start seeing their numbers slide, it'd be a good opportunity for them to switch it up and go to the summer style league.
Yeah, I would probably prefer that. The one upside, at least to the calendar they appear, is that their playoffs are not going to clash. I mean, their season will be done well before the NHL's playoffs are, which is definitely the peak viewer time for hockey. Otherwise, the TV game has always been a struggle for hockey for the longest time.
Yeah, I guess my argument, though, is you read down a Twitter feed, you read down a Facebook page, you read the Twitter accounts for any NHL team, and the hashtag "Is it October yet?" seems to trend like crazy.
I agree.
Because people miss hockey so much, they're willing to watch anything pertaining to hockey.
If there's a Minnesota team playing July to August, you don't think we'd be doing shows every week on it?
Absolutely. That's the point here, and I think that's the big opportunity that they missed out on by doing it this way.
Yeah.
And I'm curious why they went that route, because I mean, it took the WNBA a really long time before it caught on. I mean, it's really only been the last few years where it's been reasonably popular.
Yeah.
And especially here, I mean, the Lynx they're champions. I mean, they win. So, I mean, that's obviously exciting and everything. And we are kind of short on that, here in Minnesota. But I'm curious why they wouldn't follow that model a little bit. I mean, you've clearly have, the WNBA that has And they had a lot of support from the NBA too. I mean, not a lot, but they've had support. I don't know how much the NHL is supporting this because I guess I don't know that much about it that deep. So the NBA and the WNBA kind of work together to promote this.
Yeah, from what I can tell, it's really not much right now between the NHL and the NWHL.
It looks like right now, Danny Ryland, who is the co-founder and current commissioner of the NWHL, is seeking a partnership with Gary Bettman and the NHL. There's really no rumors or talks beyond that point that I've found online. But it does look like she's seeking a partnership with the NHL. It looks like the players are going to get paid a range from about 10 grand all the way up to 25 grand, depending on talent level. They are going to have access to health benefits, which is huge, and that's a big differentiation from the Canadian Women's Hockey League.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I think I'd read that the Canadian League also makes the women pay to enter the draft, and they're not,
they don't provide equipment. I mean, it's, pretty much the same deal as if you wanted to play in one of the area beer leagues here.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. It's just a
glorified beer league that's in 5 cities across the border. So.
Exactly. And, the women sell their own tickets. There's really there's no backing or support or even in that case respect for that league right now because they do have to do things like that. It kind of reminds me of, what's that basketball movie with Will Ferrell?
Oh, shoot, yeah. Oh, I can't tell.
I have no idea. No, I don't. I don't know.
I remember it coming out too. I can't tell you, but I'm one of 4 people on the planet that doesn't think Will Ferrell is funny. So.
Oh, I think he's funny, but I haven't seen that.
I'm way in the minority, I know, but.
It's about a traveling basketball team that basically has to pay their own way. That's what the Canadian Hockey League, or Women's Hockey League, reminds me of. It's just, it's not good for anyone. And what good may come out of this is that I'm hoping, and I think it will happen. I think that the CWHL and the NWHL are going to end up merging. How soon that happens, I don't know.
Ooh,
but I think it would be.
That's a lot of speculation when we're talking about 2 very fundamentally different business models. I think one, they're probably going to be forced to if they end up losing all their players to this new league is probably the best you can hope for.
Well, I'm reading this article from the New York Magazine, and at the bottom, Ryland is quoted as saying, if some real talk and friendly competition results in paychecks for players north of our border, then literally everyone's a winner.
That would be the best news to come out of this. And of course, so the 4 teams are in New York, Boston, Connecticut, and Buffalo. And of course, being the huge homers Joe Dye and I are, we want Minnesota to be number 5 on that list, hopefully in the near future. Yeah,
there are some Minnesota connections that came out of this. There's a 20-player draft, 5 rounds for the four teams back on the 15th of June. And Minnesota led the way with 4 players drafted, tied with Boston College, who also had 4 players drafted from the University of Minnesota and University of Boston College, respectively. 4 players from Minnesota, 3 of them went to the Connecticut Whale. Hannah Brandt, Milica McMillan, Amanda Lavelle, and Marianne Menifee.
So, Joe, who's your favorite team now?
The Connecticut Whale.
Okay.
It's a Minnesota heavy team.
Can we please put an S on the end of that? Because that's just dumb.
Die.
I know.
I don't
What
like
kind
it.
of feminist are you?
It's Wales. It's not whale.
Well, in that case, we're the Wilds.
It was.
Yeah,
Whalers.
I know that makes less sense though.
It was Hartford Whalers when they were an NHL team, and then the Connecticut Whale became an AHL team somewhere down the line after the Hartford Whalers left Connecticut. So they're alluding to that tradition, which still holds a lot of weight with hockey historians like Joe.
They're more than alluding to that. They're got the same colors. They got essentially the same logo. So they're doing more than alluding to it.
Well, okay. Well, they were wrong in the first place. I mean, I get why this team is following that tradition, but the original team, the AHL team, was wrong.
Actually, yeah, I would point out they were right in the first place because it was Whalers, which is a plural name.
I'd be more comfortable with them being the Whalers than the Whale. Or the Whales, as Di put it. It goes Whalers 1, Whale 2, Whales 3.
This points out the problem of having a singular term for our NHL team, the Minnesota Wild. So
I was never a fan of that name, by the way.
I
Hated it.
I remember when the list came out, I saw Polar Bears was on the list, and I'm like, that would have been the one. So
Yeah, that sounds too much like a AHL affiliate.
Yeah,
and
kind of Bush League.
Okay, so those of you listening from North St. Paul that just heard them trash your nickname.
High school versus the professional,
Hockey
the NHL. It's different.
It is very different. That has a very good point.
I kid.
Very different. I mean, and polar bears are cute,
They are.
I mean, they're vicious, true, but they're also cute.
And by the way, they're the polars, not the polar bears.
Oh, good call.
You are. I mean, I think their mascot is a polar bear, but
Yes.
They're called the polars.
Yes.
Right.
Or St. Paul polars.
Yes. Good call.
alrighty. Good talk.
Stillwater ponies for the win.
Yeah. I was a park Indian, so,
Okay.
I was a lot of things.
Me too.
Yes, you were.
I was a bulldog.
I even lived in that Wisconsin place for a couple years of high school. That wasn't so great.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know, it wasn't awesome. So, but so we had this discussion about 4 weeks ago, like during free agency. There was a lot of tweets, wild sign or wild signs. And since you are a school librarian for your day job.
She's also an English major.
You are an English major as well. I did not know that. I'm learning great things about the great Di Murphy.
I was a double major, actually. It was English and elementary education.
Oh.
Yeah, we don't care about the elementary education thing. This is about English. Damn it.
So the question is, would you say wild sign or wild signs?
The wild sign.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the reason is because the Wild are one.
An organization.
As one.
N.
So it's
Big.
singular.
Yes.
Even though there's obviously a bunch of people involved, it's still singular.
Okay. Second question, follow up. Would you refer to the Wild as an it or a they? Because Russo's made his stand on this, and it drives me nuts. But
In what reference, though?
I'm sure
You're
he's
talking
right.
about two
Right.
separate things.
oh, so like
When they sign someone, they're an it. They're an organization.
yes,
If you're talking about the
that's what I'm talking
team,
about.
then they're
It's they.
they.
Right.
yeah, no, oh,
I
okay,
agree.
gotcha. Okay,
Context is important here.
that makes perfect sense, and I think Russo might be getting it wrong half the time. Because, yeah, that makes perfect sense when you're referring to the organization. It's one organization. It's an it. But if you're referring to the Wild played a hockey game last night, it lost 4-3, that's wrong.
Correct.
Got it. This is the most educational State of Hockey podcast there has ever been.
You are welcome.
I'm having 8th grade flashbacks.
Oh, yeah, do you want to drop that bit of knowledge on us?
Di, you can go ahead and do that.
Do what?
You were my 8th grade math teacher,
I was
ironically.
I was your 8th grade math teacher. Yeah, it was quite a shock to me to realize that someone that I had known as a 14-year-old was a grown man with a wife and children and had served in the military. And yeah, that was a oh my god, am I old moment. So
Well, you sure don't look at that. That's for sure.
well, thank you.
I look way older than I am, so. Okay, so I guess maybe we'll circle back to the NWHL. So, I think I agree with you that the WNBA is definitely the trailblazer, the watermark for what you would hope a women's hockey league would be.
Yeah, and like I said, with WNH, I'm gonna have a hard time with that whole.
NWHL.
It doesn't come natural to
Right.
It doesn't flow.
I think if they had the
but
partnership.
they have an uphill battle compared to, like I said, the WNBA, and it would help them if they can get some sort of group formed with the NHL and kind of cross promote and do all those kinds of things. Because obviously there are way, 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 way more NHL fans than there are WNHL. Is that right?
NWHL.
NW.
You know, I bet if they got the partnership with NHL in the first place, they would be the WNHL.
You know, going back to that, we got next, if you remember that, Di, I'm sure you do.
I do.
Was the greatest slogan in the history of sports marketing.
Yeah.
For everything that it embodied and encompassed, it did exactly what it was intended to do. It gave basketball fans basketball when they didn't have basketball.
Yep. And there are, and I encounter this on Twitter all the time, men who, and mostly men, and I'm not saying it's all men or only men, but who want to tell me that the WNBA isn't real basketball.
Yeah, you know what? You make some very good arguments to that, and I'm actually going to make the same argument as far as it goes with women's hockey. So I want you to go ahead and make the argument against that because you're absolutely 100% correct.
I guess for me, and I'm a new basketball fan. I've only been a fan. I've only been following for maybe 5 years, and just recently, kind of really into it. When you go to an NBA game, first of all, it's expensive. I mean, it's loud. It's a lot of flopping. It's a lot of dunking. It's a lot of showmanship and, look at me. And it's not super family friendly. When you go to a WNBA game, and this is how strongly I feel about it, I'm looking at buying season tickets for the Lynx.
Hey.
I don't have season tickets for any other team in town. And it's not an expense issue. It's because it is damn good basketball. I mean, if you want to learn the fundamentals of basketball, you don't go watch an NBA game. You go watch a WNBA game, or you go watch, even women's college basketball, more so than men's college basketball, because they know how to play as a team. It is not about it is not about me. They play as a team. It is sound, fundamental basketball, which you do not get in the NBA. And so my good friend Howard Sinker, he's the digital sports editor at the Star Tribune. He coached boys AAU basketball for many years. He would take his his team, and he would say, if you want to learn how to play, you watch the women, because that's how it's supposed to be played. And it's such a fun environment. It's empowering. The players come out on if the Lynx win after, the game is over, they let all the kids come out on the court and they have a dance party. You would never see that in the NBA. Those basketball players are out of there. They're not, some of them will stick around and sign a couple of autographs. You would never see that in the NBA.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, all those things that you just said, Di, replace the word basketball with hockey, and the same holds true, and I'm going to reference the last Olympic Games. The men, if we all remember properly, completely just flopped on their butts. They didn't play as a team. They didn't play with any effort. On the flip side of that, you watch the women who gave everything they had and wound up second. And
so heartbreaking.
It was very heartbreaking. Watching the men lose to Finland in the bronze medal game, they literally could care less. A, they didn't put any effort forward in the game, and B, the looks on their face afterwards was like, oh well. The women showed heart and vision and teamwork, and there's such a difference in that. So to those of you who say that women's sports aren't real sports, you're idiots. Plain and simple.
By the way, I blame David Poyle for the men's failure. Just had to get that out there. Okay.
And it's true. I mean, if you really want to learn the fundamentals of a sport and see how it really should be played, you go watch women. And it's sad that, there are very extremely talented female athletes who, once college is over, they can go play overseas. They're seriously underpaid. And their opportunities are nothing compared to what the men have. And so seeing the WNBA and seeing the NWHL.
Hey,
she got it. Nailed it.
That gives women an opportunity to play as a professional. And granted, making $10,000 when, even the, crappiest, hockey player on an NHL team makes, I don't even know how much more than that, a lot.
So league minimum now is at $375?
No, it's like $550 now.
I mean, right. It's just, it's so good for, especially girls. For young women, and I have a little bit of anger toward early, girls' early hockey, like when I was in high school, was actually ringette. Do you know what ringette is?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, they still play that in youth hockey right now, including my kid plays ringette for about 15 minutes every practice.
Well,
it teaches puck handling.
That's what they offered the girls. That's what you got to do. There was no, I mean, that's what there was. And I said, no, thank you. I played softball, but, just look at what young girls and young women can do now. I mean, they have more opportunities, and that's what this is supposed to be about. You know, it's not just the grown women right now that are looking for opportunities. It's about my daughter and her friends and the opportunities that they should have the same as boys.
All right, Di, so you signing your daughter up for hockey practice or hockey seasons?
Here's my problem with my children, and I have the best, funniest, most awesome kids. Neither one of them give two craps about sports. Like it's just not their thing. And I wanted my daughter to play softball so badly, you have no idea. But I told myself I would never be that parent that pushed that on their kids when that's not really something their kids wanted to do.
Good for you.
My son played soccer for a couple of years. He's going to start that back up this fall. Which is great, although I hate soccer. I seriously hate soccer.
I'm totally
it's so hard.
Today.
It's terrible. It's really, and he was on it, like the last team he was on was so bad, they would get beaten like 10-0. It was just,
hey, at least you got to score or see some goals scored.
Right. It's not right. So that's just my thing. They deserve to figure out what their interests are. That's not for me to force them into doing something that I want them to do.
I totally agree with you there. So.
Yep, I'm with you too.
Yeah.
My son plays hockey on a weekly basis on the weekends, and the minute he tells me he doesn't want to do it anymore, he's not going to do it anymore as much as I love it.
Well, and it was hard because my husband and I were huge. I mean, we still are huge Gopher hockey fans. It's lessened a little bit over the years. But when my son was born and we're thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to be hockey. I was thinking for sure I was going to be a hockey mom. Like I couldn't even imagine that my kid would not love hockey. And now that he's going to be 13 next week, and I look at some of the families like at my school where their kids are, actually pretty good hockey players, and they're at tournaments, and their whole life is hockey.
I know. It's really a shame that youth sports has gone that way of specialization where you can't just try a few things when you have to have your mind made up at 11. I didn't even start playing hockey until I was 15, so I had no shot at going anywhere. But
I will make this defense of that. There are still schools out there that just do the, we're going to play a season, we're going to have tryouts. We're not going to be a huge traveling tournament team. And that's the 4A teams that you hear about. They're the smaller schools and the smaller neighborhoods. Those are the teams that you can still go do that for. Unfortunately, they're not readily available to your average person, especially if you live in the Minnesota Metro, because the Minnesota Metro is all about hockey 24/7.
Right. And hockey organizations, to their credit, have made some steps in the right direction of trying to de-emphasize travel and putting off hitting until later ages in the boys' game, and there is actually still no check in the girls' game anywhere. So,
which is dumb.
I was going to bring that up, actually. So
it's dumb.
You think
I hate it. I think
pros
it's
should
ridiculous.
Do it? I think that would really be something to see if the pro leagues went to full check.
I mean, why the difference?
I don't know. I mean, I think I got the argument at first because it was to encourage participation. It takes one fear away when you're starting out. But, I think and I don't think there's been appetite among the participants to introduce it into the girls' game.
I mean, it's just being that physical is part of playing hockey. I'm not talking about slugfests and stuff. I'm just saying the no check thing is just dumb.
Don't get me wrong. I watched every U.S.-Canada exhibition I could in the lead up to the last Olympics. I mean, no checking does not mean not physical. I mean, those were nasty games. So.
You're right. I mean, they absolutely were. But I just think that is a fundamental part of hockey.
It is a fundamental part of hockey, as well as many people make the argument against it. Fighting is also a part of hockey, and again, if you're going to allow checking in women's hockey, you need to allow fighting in women's hockey, the same as it is the NHL.
Yeah,
I
although
agree completely.
It's certainly
I
on the
think it should be.
It's certainly on the
I mean,
downswing in the NHL, though.
Say that again?
The fighting is certainly on the downswing in the NHL.
It's on the downswing, but it's never going to be, at least I hope not in my lifetime, ever going to be eliminated from the NHL.
I do agree. I think if there was fighting in basketball, Dennis Rodman would not have lasted. I think Carl Malone would have taken one swing and it would have been over.
Yeah, there's a place for it in the game. I'm not talking about the Chris Stewart when he first got to the Wild type fights where they're just basically for show.
Right.
I'm talking about your team, like the Brodziak fight in the New York Islanders game.
Yeah.
If we go back to the Islanders game when Ballard basically got his career ended by Matt Martin.
Yeah. Who's not that type of player, by the way.
No, let's tell it how it is here. On a very dirty hit that ended a man's career. But by the way, I'm not a big fan of Keith Ballard, but I'm a fan of, people actually living out their dreams.
I agree.
That was a dirty hit. That was a hit that was not necessary. It was a stride and a half, which is over the league maximum for finishing a check.
Yeah, but
Kyle
invented
Brodziak stood up to Matt Martin, who's a guy who's got about 6 inches on him and about 45 pounds, and took one for the team. He didn't win the fight, but guess what? The Wild won the game, and we were down by 3 goals at that point.
And, just take that a step further. I mean, what happened was the Department of Ignoring Player Safety came up with this arbitrary 0.7 of a second standard nobody had heard of before, and said that Martin fit within that and had no previous record, and skated away with nothing.
Yeah, that's because he took full... Oh, all right.
Okay,
that's
sorry.
because he was going full speed at him.
We went on a tangent there, so hey,
yeah, you kind of did.
I looked up the history of the girls hockey tournament. We're actually only 20 years of girls hockey being a championship sport.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm proud to say we are still pioneers in that.
Yep.
We still include women's hockey in Hockey Day in Minnesota.
Yep.
Okay, I would argue that it's not.
Oh.
Like they didn't have the Gopher women's playing.
No.
Well, this year they don't have anyone playing, and it's in Duluth.
Well, I mean...
Well, the Gophers are going to play that day, I'm sure. But yeah, you're right. They don't usually go for it. They usually do high school girls. And
I mean,
well,
and
no,
that's great.
The Gopher men and women don't ever play on the same day, though.
Oh. Well, maybe they should make an exception for, the unofficial Hockey Day holiday.
Well, I think that's more of the University of Minnesota thing than it is a Hockey Day in Minnesota.
Right, yeah. But I mean, you're right. It's great that they do include girls hockey, but it's always at like a weird time. Like it's still very much male dominated, very much so.
Here's a fun fact.
But I mean, you have to start somewhere. So I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Just they could go further with that.
Here's a fun fact I didn't know until I just Googled it right now. Who won the very first girls hockey tournament?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Edina.
No,
that's what I was gonna guess.
Apple Valley.
Wow.
Which is where I live. I've lived for 2 years. I have nothing to do with it. But we won. Woohoo! Alright. That's all I got. So we're pro hitting in the women's game, and they put it off in the boys' game until I think the Pee-wee.
Bantams.
It's the Bantams now. It was Pee-wees when I was playing. So Bantams are like 13s and 14s, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, and they still have the stop sign on the back for no hitting from behind, which is, of course, a good introduction into safety.
I mean, I get it. When you're learning the game, you don't need that intimidation factor, especially at an age where, no two kids are even close to the same size.
But we have grown women that we don't let do that.
Right.
So, I mean, that, to me, you're not talking about a 13, 14-year-old kid. Right. You're talking about grown women.
I think I would love to see full check at the pro women's game, and maybe in the college game as well.
Yeah,
I just, it really bothers me when there's not that equity. I mean, when I was in high school, the boys got to do wrestling, the girls had to do tumbling.
Well, you're contradicting yourself there. Because earlier we were talking about you not wanting Connecticut to be named the Whale.
Just because
how's that for equality?
Because grammatically, I don't like it.
Okay.
I think
it's not because they're women?
That's because all team names should have an S at the end.
No, that's not true.
The Whale sounds dumb. I like the Riveters. I actually think that might be the team
that's
I
a killer name.
I think that's a great name.
I like the Pride.
It's okay.
That's a good name.
I still think the Wild's a dumb name.
Riveters make me think of building race cars. My rivet gun that was
Rosie the Riveter.
pain in the butt.
Like World War II icon, right? World War II.
A League of Their Own. Come on, hello.
Oh yeah, that's a good.
I just watched that the other night. It was on.
So we should talk about the basically the championship trophy that's given out in this new National Women's Hockey League.
I did not.
It is the Isabel Cup.
The Isabel Cup.
Isabel, which is spelled odd, and I'm guessing it's because they're not American. But it's named after the daughter of Lord Stanley, who donated the Stanley Cup.
Oh,
that's very cool.
That's a neat story. I did not know that. And then just to put a bow on the hitting thing, that would not one way or another influence my decision to buy tickets for women's hockey. I would totally go either way.
No, I'm. You can sign me up right now. Season ticket holder for the Minnesota, whatever our team will be named.
Oh yeah. Anybody have any good ideas for a Minnesota name?
I'm terrible at coming up with names.
Me too.
Really terrible.
That's why we get stuck with the Wild, because you didn't have a better idea, Di.
It's
all your fault. You can't.
And the worst part is, when they first came here, it took me a really long time to be able to like them.
Yeah.
Because, I was so seriously heartbroken when the North Stars left. It crushed me. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with calling them the Minnesota North Stars?
I think I would, I would love that.
I don't know.
I would love that.
One of the things I like about the Wild is that they did make their effort to make a clean break with the old tradition. I think just because it does bring that wound up, I think even more so.
Yeah, or we could do something like the Nordiques.
Yeah. Well, what's with you and all the retread ideas?
Hey, retreads are the best.
No.
Okay. No one ever has a good idea.
So retreads are the best, so you're for Doug Riseborough return against the Minnesota Wild GM.
No. I'm talking about names and traditions. I'm not talking about morons and idiots who couldn't hack it.
Oh, boy. Well, yeah, so, we got a few listener tweets this week, not at all related to, women's hockey, but, we'd like to go through them anyway. We got one from our, frequent tweeter at @uncanny_Megan Canny. She asked, what do we think about the new Minnesota Wild players who may come up from Iowa?
I'm going to make assumptions on this one because I'm not really sure what she's looking for as far as information goes there. I know she's an avid listener of the show, and we spoke on several topics regarding new players and who we thought were gonna come up. So I'm gonna go with, as far as the draft goes and the players we drafted, I'm looking at seeing Greenway up and Eriksson Ek.
Ooh, I thought Eriksson Ek was pretty much decided he's going back to Sweden for one more year.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That's news to me.
So,
news to me.
What's different about the hockey draft than the other sports is that the players that are ancient, they get drafted so young. The players that are ancient already, you can usually count on one hand. So any deeper than that, they're going to be returned to their juniors teams or whatnot, which is very different than how basketball and hockey and football do things. So I know the one person from Iowa last year that we're both high on is Tyler Graovac, and especially because despite Joe's best advice, Chuck Fletcher let Kyle Brodziak walk. So I kind of hope that's paving the way for Tyler Graovac, but I still don't think that'll get any forgiveness on you, Joe.
No, especially when we signed a guy like Halla for $1 million per.
Yeah.
So we're getting a guy who's half as productive as Brodziak on important things like the penalty kill, and we're paying him more than our division rival paid for a guy who's twice as productive.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense to me, but maybe I don't know. I'm gonna give Chuck Fletcher the benefit of the doubt here because he's been a good GM, with the exception of the Vanek signing, and
Yeah, there's a few glaring exceptions in Fletcher's record, but he doesn't seem to want to die on the hill when he's made a bad decision. He seems to just push forward and try and make it better, whatever he's done in the past.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Why you dwell on the past? You got to move forward, and that's one of the things I really like about Chuck Fletcher. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt here and say that I'm going to blame Brodziak on this one just because he's not here anymore. I'm going to say he wanted out and he wasn't willing to sign here for $900,000.
We got a tweet from an @RandallEV. His question is: National pundits have little faith in the Wild. Thoughts? ?
Oh, who the cares?
But you know what? Seriously though, you have to take a look at the last couple of seasons. I mean, this team, when they signed Suter and Parisi, that was we win now. Like that was, and now these guys are getting older and they still can't seem to get it together.
See, this is the common misconception about hockey, and this is the thing people don't understand about this game. Chemistry is the biggest...
me, Joe. Enlighten me.
No, and you're making the point that the pundits are making, which is a good addition to what... That's exactly where I wanted you to go with that. Because here's the thing. People don't understand that chemistry is the biggest part of this game. The Blackhawks are great because the Blackhawks have played together forever. And when I say forever, I mean in salary cap era NHL. They have played together longer than any other core group of players have. That's why they are as good as they are. Yeah, they have talent. But they weren't good overnight. They weren't good when everyone came together. No, it took them years to play together, to be together. And then they became a great team.
I know a lot of fans don't like hearing this, but making the Final 8 2 years in a row is a big deal. That's leaps and bounds ahead of where they were in the past decade.
Yeah, another Minnesota team that's done that other than the Lynx.
I'm not a championship or bust type of fan. I want to enjoy the ride.
I'm not either. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. I just mean, and when you talk about team chemistry, of course that's a huge part of it. That's a huge part of it in any sport. But they keep screwing with it. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like they're not keeping I mean, to your point, I get it, but at the same time, that's not what this management is doing.
Well, yeah, and I get what you're saying there, but this year it is different. They are not adding any other big name players. They're pulling up from, the minor leagues with players that have played with these guys before. They haven't added any big name free agents. Vanek was really the only big name free agent add last year. We've had some renta players that have come and gone.
Yeah,
we're moving in the right direction.
This is going to be Granlund's third year. I mean, he definitely took a step back last year, but I think he's gonna rise to the challenge. This will be Niederreiter's third year here. I think he's doing just fine, and a lot of players have been here for 2 or 3 years now, and they probably signing Dubnyk, your favorite signing of all time, Joe. Getting that stability in the goal that they haven't had since Backstrom was in his prime, and boy, does that seem like an eternity ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We all thought the Kemper signing was the next big thing, and I still think the Kemper signing was good, and I think that the Kemper signing, he did himself a great injustice by negotiating the way he did.
Yep, I agree.
He's probably never going to be a number one goalie on a team ever again in his career because of that negotiation.
I wouldn't bet against that.
But he's going to be a very good backup here. And I think that position, that role suits him better, at least now in his career. He may end up like the Devin Dubnyk type player, when he's 30 years old. He might get traded to a team that needs a goalie badly, and he may end up going that route. But right now, he did himself a great injustice by negotiating the way he did and signing the one-way deal. He didn't leave himself a lot of room for error.
So I guess I haven't seen too many particular previews. The Wild also have the misfortune of playing in a division that probably has 3 of the top 5 teams in the league.
Yeah, and I think we're one of them, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't want to sound like a homer because I'm about as realistic as it gets, but the Wild are going in the right direction every single year. They seem to have gotten it together with the Dubnyk deal. We're not going to have a December, January, and February like we did last
Well,
season.
let's hope not.
I mean, if we go 400 through those 3 months, we're the best team in the league.
It is something, isn't it? So, but we'll find out, I guess. Oh, I said it once. That's the joke, guys. I always say, we'll see, we'll find out. And if you have to take a drink every time I say that, you're bombed by the end of the show.
Nice.
So hopefully you're not playing along.
No, I'm drinking water.
One more. We got Rich Fossum at RCHFSSM on the Twitter. He has his ticket draft with his season ticket partners. What are the can't miss games of the year and sleepers?
I've got, I guess, sleepers I'll let you handle,
Okay.
because I think you have a little bit more
This is
more insight on that front. I'm looking as far as from a fan experience. The can't miss games. Obviously, any game involving Chicago, you got October 30th, you got March 29th.
And then that other one in February that's happening not at the X.
Yeah, and of course if you have season tickets, you have that great opportunity that everyone complains about not having because they're not season ticket holders. The Stadium Series game against Chicago is the definite can't miss game of the entire year.
It's so about personal taste, this question, because
It is. Mm-hmm.
I have
and that's why I kind of went the easy route here and I put the fan favorite games.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm in a group with 3 other people, and to my surprise, the Montreal ones went right after the Chicago ones. That wasn't even on my radar.
Really? You're the biggest Habs hater there is.
I know, but that's maybe why I don't want to go. So,
It's the fair weather thing.
But I did go to Nashville. I'm the biggest Nashville hater there is, for sure. So,
Well, yeah, of course. Then you want us to.
Everybody's so
see 'em
neutral on
whoop 'em?
Nashville. I freaking hate them. So yeah. And I like Ovechkin, and I think Washington's going to be sneaky good next year. So.
Hey, man, they picked up Oshie.
Yeah. So I think they're going to be a good team to go see. So. Wow, do you get to a lot, or Die? Do you get to a lot of Wild games? Wow, do you get to a lot of Die games?
I think we went to one last year. Or no, I went to one
2.
with Joe. No, yeah. Then I went to 3 because I bought tickets for my husband's birthday and we went to a game then. So I don't. Hockey is one of those sports that I honestly do think is better watching it.
Oh, no question.
At the stadium. I mean, I think being there the environment is really awesome.
It really is.
But I also love so many sports in town, so
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I mean, I go to a couple of games, of each sport. Other than, like I said, I'm considering buying WNBA season tickets because that's the best ticket in town right now. I love the Vikings. I will for sure go to a game this year at the Bank and then one at the new stadium. But that, for me, football, I watch at home. That I would much rather watch football at home on my TV.
It's so
Then,
true.
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's so true that the NFL is probably the worst of the live product of the major
No,
sports.
that's baseball. Well,
Okay.
no, if the weather's nice, baseball's great. Unless you're watching the Twins and they're hot garbage. So that would be a different story. But I would rather go to the Saints game than go to a Twins game. Especially now with their new stadium. I mean, I was talking even when they were playing at the old stadium.
Oh yeah,
it's just such a fun environment. My kids love going, and they're not even huge baseball fans. They just like the environment and everything that they do there.
That's my argument against that. If you're going to watch a baseball game, you shouldn't go to a Saints game because you're not watching a baseball game. You're watching, a carnival.
No, I would disagree. When I go, I watch baseball.
Well, you do, but no one else does.
Well, you know what? True. When I don't want to pay, an arm and a leg to take my kids to the Twins where they're bored after the first 2 innings.
You can pick up StubHub tickets for the Twins for like $4.
Tell you what, the last
Twins I don't like sitting in bad seats.
The last Twins game I went to was about 4 years ago. It was at Target Field, so maybe it wasn't that long ago. But they blew an 8-run lead against the Brewers. Or something awful like that, and never again.
Yeah, no.
I've gotten a couple Saints games since then, and I haven't
Target
been to
Field is beautiful. If it's the weather's great, it's for me, baseball is a sport that I usually have on when I'm doing something else. Like I don't generally sit down to completely engage in watching a baseball game.
For me,
I'm with you though on the good seats thing.
Yeah,
you definitely have to. If you're gonna go, you gotta enjoy yourself.
I mean, I can't sit in crappy seats. But if you're I mean, and sometimes it's a matter of, like especially with the Vikings. I mean, and now what they're going to charge at that new stadium. I mean, it's ridiculously expensive. But that's why I wouldn't get season tickets. I might go on StubHub and buy a couple of games and go.
That's all I've ever done with the Vikings.
But see, I grew up. My parents had season tickets to the Twins, the Vikings, Gopher hockey.
Wow.
God, am I missing one? Twins,
Yeah.
Vikings, North Stars. So I've been going to sporting events for my whole life.
Wow, that's a lot.
And so
Must be nice.
Yeah.
it was nice.
Yeah,
it really was.
I'm like the first person in my family to sign up for season anything that I know of, because I'm got 10-year for a while this coming year, first year ever. So that'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, for me, hockey's number 1, football's number 2, soccer's number 3. I can't watch basketball or baseball. I don't.
For me, it's hockey, and then everything else can kiss my ass.
Oh.
You are just terrible. Yeah, I should. You know what? When I get my Lynx tickets, I'm gonna make you go to a game with me.
Hey, if I'm not paying for it, I'll go and watch anything, especially, a fundamentally sound game. I think that's why I don't like basketball, is because I don't like the flopping, the poor sportsmanship, the showmanship, the culture of the NBA.
Yep. I mean, that's very true. For me, it's football. Then hockey and basketball are pretty much on par, and then baseball, and then pretty much nothing else.
I gave basketball one last chance in 2002, and I watched the refs totally screw over the Sacramento Kings. Never again. So to the WNBA's credit, that hasn't happened to them yet.
Oh, they have, but they do have some. I've seen some really bad.
Yeah. But there aren't ex-officials writing books about
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, because they're human, so they're going to make mistakes.
I mean, yeah.
But I've seen some pretty bad. And plus, you look at the Lynx, and one thing that I absolutely love about that team is their coach. First of all, Cheryl Reeve is badass. I mean, she is so awesome. I had read an article about how she has a core group of her players, the leaders on the team, Maya Moore, Simone Augustus, Lindsay Whalen. And when they're looking to trade or make changes, she sits down with them and involves them in that process, which I don't know happens very much especially in the NBA. To me, it's just like your general manager makes his decision and, that's it.
Who's the GM of the Cleveland Cavaliers?
LeBron James.
That's correct answer.
He is.
Let's be honest.
He is. Absolutely. He absolutely is. But, I mean, obviously, you take a look at what he was, able to, and hey, I'm grateful because he wanted Kevin Love and we, that's fine. Bye, Felicia.
He didn't want Kevin Love.
No, we got Andrew Wiggins instead. Thank you very much.
Oh, we are talking all sports today. It's fun.
Yeah, well, one thing that you gotta mention too is you are coming to 5 Wild games this year with me.
I am.
Really?
Don't get me started on, how I didn't get to pick any of my favorite games. I was, a little bit pissed off about that, but Tom and I'll meet in an alley and we'll duke it out. And
I'm only taking my wife to 3 of the 5 I got, so. It's tough for another.
Yeah, no.
It's tough.
Unfortunately, I have to go with Joe, but that's just how it rolls.
Yeah, but yeah.
Hey, I offer 80% refund.
80% refund?
If
she's not.
You don't want to go with me.
Oh no, I want to go. You know that we had fun when we went. Because it's hard for me because I don't have a lot of friends that are really into sports, so. Mm-hmm. And it tends to be guys because none of my female friends are into sports. Although I have a coworker now who is a former college basketball player, and she and I are going to the Lynx game next Wednesday night. So I at least have that going for me. Which is
well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a good time. Yeah, if I wish I liked basketball, I could watch it this summer.
Well, you should give it. Seriously, I know what you're saying about the NBA, and I feel this. Although I do like the speed of the game, and I love that the Wolves are really young and they're up and coming, and it's very dynamic right now with them. Yeah. I took my daughter to her first WNBA game last week or the week before, and she just had the best time. We had really good seats. I had bought some from a friend of mine who has season tickets. And so one of the workers came over, like one of the security guys came over and asked her if she wanted to high five the players as they were coming out of the tunnel at after halftime. So she got to do that.
Oh, wow.
She absolutely loved it. So that's something that she and I can now do together.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, very excited about that.
That sounds like a good time. And I did go to Lynx game once, and it was all right, but it doesn't do what hockey does. And I think if we're gonna have women's professional hockey, that's more hockey. That's great. I hope it comes to Minnesota.
I do too, and I hope that, as we've discussed, that they kind of take a look at the WNBA and the success they've had, and kind of emulate that. Kind of use that as a guide to developing a bigger following of their sport.
Well, they failed phase 1 by not putting it in the off season.
Yeah.
They did. They really did.
But we have
and I'd be really curious to know the thought behind that, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is the venues, maybe. Because they aren't using NHL buildings. They're using much smaller, 5,000 to 6,000 seat arenas.
Yeah.
In the Northeast. So.
Yeah, I get that point, and there are some. I mean, you got to have the venues to
summer
support
for
it,
9
but
games, I don't know. That's.
I mean, at least here in Minnesota, I know we've got a lot of year-round ice.
Absolutely.
Braemar Arena would be a very good place.
That would be a good venue
for NWHL team. I'm just saying, bring them to Braemar.
Okay, so Joe, when we win the lottery, or maybe all three of us can just pull our resources and buy a team. I wonder how much it is.
I actually have already posed that question because I want it at least for our podcast for next week. I have posed that question through the media bulletin board on their website. Okay. So I hope to have that information by next week.
How many World Series of Poker do I have to win?
I'm guessing it'll probably be 1.
Okay.
I'm guessing they're not
so we'll pool
an
our
NHL
resources,
franchise
we'll
type deal.
B, and yeah, that's what we'll do.
Well, let's just do the simple breakdown of the business model. How many players are on a team? See, 72 players divided by 4.
Yep.
Di, help me out here.
18.
What?
What's that, 16 players a team?
18.
Yeah. 18?
18.
18 players a team. 18 times, we'll go with a medium income of 20. So, 20 grand a year times 18, you're looking at, you want 2.5 years? Yeah, you're looking at about $1.2 million.
Franchise fees, hires, and yeah.
Right. I mean, there's more than right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, you want about 1.2 to start.
I'll go win the World Series of Poker. This plan can't miss.
All right.
Can't miss.
I'll put in $1 and you can call me like a 10% owner.
Nice.
You got to move that decimal place about 2 spots.
Hey, okay, just free tickets. That's all I want.
Okay, we can account for that. So
well, not free then.
So all right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to call the show, huh, guys?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Di Murphy stuck with us for the whole hour, or not quite an hour, but close enough. Thank you for being with us. And,
well, thank you for having me on.
And for those of you interested in following, it's at NWHL_ on Twitter.
Okay.
For the National Women's Hockey League.
I will do that next time I'm on the Twitter. So, and Di, you want to talk about what you got coming up this fall in podcast land and writing land?
Oh, well, yeah, as some of you might know, I do a podcast with Andy Carlson called Andy Must Die, at Andy Must Die. We are, because we'll be so Vikings heavy focused for the next 2 months, essentially, or until right around Halloween. Mm-hmm. We are going to merge Andy Must Die with his Purple for the Win podcast. And so we'll be recording those on Tuesday nights. So I'll be recording in a couple days here, and rolling those out on Wednesdays. And then once the NHL season and the NBA season starts up, then we'll separate them back out again.
Okay. So that sounds like that. And are you still involved with Daily Norseman, or?
You know, I am and I'm not. I mean,
okay.
I think I'm just...
You've got the golden status. You can do it when you want to do it.
I pretty much do, and they're super supportive and nice. I mean, I got to go do an interview with Cordero Patterson in June, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, great!
And so I just it's kind of hit or miss. Now that the season's starting up again, I might be more inspired. But yeah, they just kind of let me do what I want.
So football is your second favorite sport. Purple for the Win podcast for sure is good, and Daily Norseman as well. Watch for Di.
Yep, absolutely, at Daily North. person.
And our buddy Andy. And, of course, you are at DieMurphyMN.
Correct.
And Joe is at SOTSO Hockey Joe. So you North St. Paul people, don't forget, yell at him. And I'm at SOTSO Hockey JJ. So send us your tweets. We'll talk about them on our next show. And it's October's coming soon. So hang in there, fans. We'll have a good time. It's going to be an exciting season. I'm not down on the Wild at all.
I'm not down on them.
I'm not down on them either, so
See?
I don't know why the pundits are.
Exactly. 3 of us got it right. So, and most of our listeners as well, I'm sure. So, all right. So once again, special thanks to Di Murphy for being our guest, and special thanks to Joe for being on the show every week. And I'm Justin Jelnick. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the State of the Hockey podcast. The music was created and produced by Deeb. To hear more of his tracks, visit soundcloud.com/Deeb.